Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and I'm with my new friend Gaurav, and he is sort of a recent follower of Niche Site Project, but he's had some amazing results, and he started following some of the YouTube stuff and some of the blog content back in April of 2020. And at this point in time, we're at the summer of 2020. He's just crossed over $600 in the last 30 days. It looks like his traffic keeps edging forward and growing day by day. So I'm excited to dig into this whole success story here. And welcome, Gaurav. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Doug. I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me today.
Awesome. Cool. And no one knows who you are. So can you give a little bit of an intro about yourself and what you do?
I'm based in Ontario, Canada, and I have a business of my own. It is into the education field, and I have recently come back to building websites. I had done that in 2014 and 15, but had a long break. I was in my corporate career then, and now, yeah, it's really exciting. Things are moving well for me, and I have you to thank for that. Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks a lot. Well, you obviously did all the hard work, and I just happened to be around to hear the story, but I appreciate you saying that. Well, you mentioned that you were dabbling previously a few years ago. So, can you tell us about that experience a little bit and like why did you take a break?
So we were back in India, and we had started this website where India was booming as far as e-commerce was concerned. So we were reviewing e-commerce websites and kind of trying to tell which one's better than the other when it comes to ordering small products. And really did not know what we were doing. My wife is a fabulous writer. She's a published author. She could dish out amazing content, but we had no idea what keyword research is. And basically, a few websites noticed us, they sent us their stuff, but it just fell flat on its face. So that was one. And then I tried a couple of other things. I tried, I think it was some sort of a listing of businesses and some sort of finance stuff. I am an MBA, so, but really nothing took off because I didn't know what I was doing, and that was the end of that. All this while, my wife, she has her website, so I kind of managed that. So I knew a little bit about that, but it's essentially about the books that she writes. So it's not monetized in any way.
Gotcha. And do you have somewhat of a technical background as well, or more on the business side with your MBA?
I do have a computer engineering degree, so I understand how things work, but that's pretty much it for the most part, in the sense that I cannot do any programming. I can look into code, and I can do a little bit of insertion of things in my functions.php, but that's I just Google and go with the flow.
Sure. That's pretty much what I can do now too. It's like the code doesn't scare me, but I can't really do anything helpful. I can usually just mess things up. Usually just mess things up a little bit. So, all right. So you got back into it back in April. So can you tell us like what was the origin story there? Like how did you find my stuff, for example, and why are we talking today?
Okay. So the backstory, how it goes is that I wanted to. So my other business, my offline business, was doing fairly okay. So I wanted to kind of expand and acquire another business. And one of my friends, he used to work for McKinsey, and so he had some serious consulting jobs with, as far as his how his mind works. So he told me that it might be a good idea for me to acquire an online business, and I had no idea, what online businesses are or do they even sell. But as I started finding more about it, I figured that yes, I probably can. So I figured out a couple of places. Human Proof Designs was one of them, and then there was another one with which I ended up going, which was another underwhelming experience, to be very honest. But I figured that I can pretty much buy a business from my credit card and scale it. So that's how I started off. Now my wife was really against that because since 2014 till 2019-20, I had more the unsuccessful business ventures, let's put it this way, to my name than successful ones. So, I mean, trust deficit is a strong word, but she didn't really feel that we were ready to do something like that. But anyway, she relented. She saw that I really wanted to do something, so she gave in, and I went ahead and bought an existing website. It was doing about $200 a month, and 10 days later, the commission rate change happened. And I happened to be in a niche that was very, very severely impacted. So my revenue came down to $30 or $40 a month, maybe $50 a month. So and I was all alone in the sense that there was lockdown. I could not speak to anyone. I could not tell my wife. So she's going to laugh when she listens to this podcast, but I just could not tell anyone. So yeah, that happened, and in the changeover process, Amazon threw the website out because they said that it was violating some of its terms. So I reached back to the sellers, and they had no idea that they were violating. And then I wrote back to Amazon saying what was wrong. So they told me that there were some comparison tables that they were using, and on those tables they had very specifically mentioned this is best. So that's what they had a problem with. So anyway, I got rid of that, reapplied, got back into the program, and yeah, that was the start. So basically, I had a very rough start, and I was really looking for someone to follow or someone to help me out. And yeah, that's when I came across you. I heard the KGR, which was really, I'm a very math person, so that really gave me a framework to work with. And as soon as I had a framework, I knew that I can pick this and run with it. So that's exactly what I did.
Very good. Well, I have a ton of follow-up questions now. So where did you end up purchasing this site?
Those people, I'd rather not say they've been to your podcast. I follow their podcast. So good people, but the experience wasn't good. So
Okay, fair enough. So you bought it and it was making a couple $100 a month, and then there was some funny stuff going on. Now, you also mentioned that the tables had an issue because they said the word best. What was best describing? Was it the price? Was it something different? What was on the table specifically?
So specifically, they were saying like it is AWP. If you've seen, it allows you to make those colors, and so it was saying best, like the best product in that category, or the best. Like it was a very overarching statement rather than an opinion. And then I think that's what I understood when I went back and read that 50,000 word document. That's the problem. So I kind of removed that and made it more generic, as in that's my choice as the editor rather than it being the best product.
Okay, interesting. And I haven't heard that specifically, so I'm even surprised that it would be an issue because a lot of the phrasing that is used in affiliate sites is best whatever. Although, many times it's not describing a specific item, even though people may say, hey, my favorite is this one out of these other five. So that is interesting. So you mentioned it's AAWP, and that's one of the default sort of settings, like the best certain products. So as long as you change that, then you should be okay.
Yes, so that's what happened.
Okay, gotcha. And yeah, I can't believe that you bought the site and then you ended up getting the Amazon commission rate change just 10 days later. So just mentally, where were you at with that? I know it sounded like it was a bit of a debate on whether you would even buy a site. And then this happened where yeah, what were you thinking? What were you thinking there?
Yeah, I had nowhere to go. So I could not discuss it with my wife. Nobody knew what I was doing. Even if people knew, they did not, like, affiliate marketing is a smallish world. So, but I knew that I was onto something because wherever I read, I figured that it is scalable. I knew that I myself am a good writer. Although I've not written any of my articles, I've put a whole bunch of articles, not written a single one. So I knew that content is valuable, and I myself whenever I buy something, I research. I know I'm buying off an affiliate site, so I knew that it is something that can be managed. But I did not know how. So it really was a tough time, like those, I would say 15, 20 days. And I would like to mention something here, which you pointed me out and you set me on this direction. So once this happened, I was grasping at straws. I was looking for those shortcut ways to make up that gap. And so I followed your entire disavowing of links because when I looked at the backlink profile of the website, I figured that it had got some random links from a lot of different places. So I tried disavowing that, thinking that I'll disavow and tomorrow traffic would start coming. Did not happen. Then I changed the URL structure. So I included categories, and then someone said don't include categories. So I not included categories. I got a whole bunch of 404 errors, and I spent about 3 or 4 weeks just trying to figure out what I'm doing. And then you pointed out that it's basically two things. One is content, and the second one is link building. And that is it. And that really simplified things a whole lot. I just forgot about all the other jing bang and contacted, I think at that point I started contacting a few people who I knew might be interested in writing. Started working with about 4 or 5 people. And yeah, long story short, in the last 3 months, we've put out 200 more articles. Started off with 20. Now we have a 220. And what that has done is that the older articles have started attracting traffic. And the newer ones, like the older articles have really boomed, and the newer ones have started attracting traffic. And all of them are KGR, like 100% articles are KGR.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. That's amazing. That's a lot of content in a short amount of time, really. And for the YouTube folks, we have the analytics and the traffic, so we'll put those up on the screen so people can see. Basically, this was getting like 20 visitors a day or something like that, and now it's getting upwards of 300 or more. I know it's a few days since you sent me the screenshots, and it was kind of growing pretty fast. So is that about right? Over 300 per day?
Yes, now we are regularly crossing 300 a day.
Very cool. So with the KGR and finding all the keywords, some people struggle to find them. Did you have any trouble? You obviously had some experience in the past, but KGR is a little bit different, and like I said, some people do just have trouble finding any of them. So how did it go for you?
So again, you came to rescue. So I don't know. In one of your podcasts, you had mentioned that you look for best ballpoints for writing journals. So I just caught on to that. I used best X of Y in my niche, and most of my articles, the money articles, were best X of Y, and most of my information articles were how to X. So yeah, it was fairly simple. I just started using these words. I use Ubersuggest just to because they offer a fairly robust keyword volume for free. So I use that to get the keyword volume and all in title, and that's it. I just kept getting these keywords. I did make a couple of mistakes in this. So one of them was I in this best X of Y, like I started doing best X1, X2. So I was like too close. So maybe I was cannibalizing. I still am probably cannibalizing traffic. So yeah, that was one mistake that I did early on, which I have now rectified.
Okay, cool. And then when so you hired writers to do all the content, it sounded like maybe you had some contacts that you knew could do some writing, but can you tell us about the process of finding the writers and then getting that published?
I would say I was lucky in the sense that I'm a part of a group where I'm a recently new immigrant to Canada. I came in here 2.5 years back, and then I'm a part of a WhatsApp group where new immigrants come in. So they were coming in at a time where they did not have anything, like they could not get jobs, and they were coming from. I mean, they weren't native English speakers, but they had they had some serious IQ going with them. So they come from my MBA institute, and it's like one of the very exalted institutes back home in India. So I just contacted them and I offered them a price that would kind of work for me financially and make sure that they also uh, earn a little bit, I wouldn't say minimum wage. It's definitely more than minimum wage, but it would take care of some part of their expenses. So that worked for me, really.
Awesome. And that's great. That's an amazing like way to, see an opportunity for yourself and then help other people out that, you know, they can work from home. They have a lot of flexibility that, everyone wants that. So that's pretty cool. How many writers did you end up hiring and how many are working for you now?
So I hired a total of, I think I went through about 10 of them. Now I have 4 or 5 working for me. One or two of them, like, things went well for them. They got jobs and, they kind of got busy. And then a few of them just were not cut out for it. So
Gotcha. And how much content are you publishing like per week or per month right now?
So I'm doing about two articles a day. I can do 2 articles a day. Like I get 2 articles a day or a little more than 2 articles a day in my drafts. And then I take some time to, I'm the bottleneck here. I'm doing most of the editing myself. So I do the editing. And again, honestly speaking, I'm just doing very minimal editing and sending them out because I understood again from your podcast that it takes time for these articles to rank. So I plan to now go back to them once I have reached a certain number of articles and then do the editing on a more relaxed basis.
Got it. Very cool. Sounds like you're not doing any link building currently. You're just really pumping out the content. Is that accurate?
That would have been accurate a week back. And then, well, you sent Haro my way. So I heard the 2 Haro podcasts that you had. I think one was with Anthony, the other one was with Kyle. I listened to them a couple of times. I have evolved a process around that. We have made now 5 or 6 submissions over the last 1 week. We've got 1 link so far, and I've got a couple of links for my other business. So
Great. That's amazing. So you're batting about 20% on your affiliate site, and then can you share the success rate for your other business? I'm just curious, like if it's panning
oh,
out
that's
even better.
that's 80% because there I am. Here I'm just a blogger. There I am an expert. So
Very cool. Well, we'll talk offline once we stop recording. I'm interested in hearing more. I'm dabbling around with Haro as well. So that's pretty cool. And did you basically just take the blueprint that we explained in the podcasts?
I just copied it exactly. So we subscribed to the basic plan. We set up the text alerts. Unfortunately, they don't send those text alerts in Canada. I initially tried to use one of my writers to do that. That was also mentioned in the podcast. I tried to do that, but didn't work out. Then I found someone locally here whom I explained the process, and he's doing that. It's not up to the mark. Like if I were to do that, what the stuff I submit for my business. In fact, I got a response saying that what you submitted is so strong. They just used my stuff and put it in a separate article. Like this is spun an article out of it. So
Oh, wow.
it's not as that person's submissions are not as strong, but I'm hoping that he will pick it up.
Very good. Do you think that's like well within reach for most people just to dabble with Haro? And if so, do you have any like tips, even though you're only about a week or so in here?
I mean, what my feeling has been over the last 1 week is that it's not really scalable. It's like uh, it's like that it's like that you can have that Ferrari, but you can have only one of those Ferraris, right? But if you go for a Nissan, then you can have a lot of Nissans for the same price, for the same effort in this case. So I have thought that I'd probably do Haro for a bit and then figure out a couple of other ideas that I have. I've got 1 link through that idea already, but those would be guaranteed very low authority links. They would be good sites, but very low authority.
Probably pretty relevant, I take it.
Very relevant, yes, yes.
Okay.
They're basically local businesses from my area. I'm a member of BNI, so I just contact them saying that I can feature you, and let's say we're talking about best ballpoint pens for journaling. So if there's a local bookstore owner, so I can say that, oh, what do you have to say about this, and then why don't you link to it?
Got it. And what is BNI? What is that?
Oh, BNI. Sorry, BNI is this networking thing. It's a global thing where local business owners meet in the mornings and they exchange leads if they have any for each other.
Okay, gotcha. What does it stand for?
I think it used to stand for Breakfast Networking International till they became just BNI. Like
Okay,
IBM became IBM. Yes.
got it. Okay, yeah, and I've heard of. I've gone to a couple Million Cups meetings. Have you heard of
Yeah.
those?
I
Okay,
haven't heard, but I would. Yeah, it's basically local business owners meeting. So let's say there's a chiropractor, there's a plumber, there's a whatever, an accountant. So
got
all of
it.
them meet.
Okay, so and with that, you're in the network, and you guys have a common interest, and you're able to work it out. That sounds like exactly how you should do link building, where you're actually networking, and you have some relationship with the person ahead of time. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Although I can tell you tried this. It's very tedious, very time consuming, very relevant links, but almost always very low domain authority because these are all local businesses.
yeah. So I want to go back to content because you have pushed out so much content and in a relatively short time. So you said 200 posts in, did you say 3 to 4 months? Is that right?
Yes.
So for people who are thinking they want to do that from a project management standpoint and just managing that number of words being published, how should they approach it?
Okay, so a couple of things I would suggest anyone who wants to do something like that. Firstly, it's possible, but it's not possible. You have to ramp it up. So you have to start slow. And I did not know this starting, but where I got lucky was I hired people who naturally their English might not have been the best, but they were naturally very, very intelligent. So they could put their minds to what they were writing and they kind of understood what I was trying to do as well. So initially, I was very hawkish and very strict with what was coming in. I was reviewing each and everything and sending them feedback very regularly. I remember having a very long call with one of my most prolific writers to take him through all the steps. That really worked. So we did a Zoom call and I shared my screen and told him these are the specific things that I'm looking for. Second, I so when I started off, I think I was averaging around $35 an article, and then I bumped it up a little and passed on a bit of Amazon tables and a bit of formatting to the writers. They were happy because they got that bump up, and I was happy because it meant lesser work for me. Again, use your advice about Grammarly, and that has helped. I just got that done last week, and the content that I've gotten since last week, has been grammatically almost perfect. So these are the few things that I did to scale up.
Cool. And just to you actually emailed me and you were like, "Hey, I want Grammarly Premium and you want to check it out." So just as a mini ad in the middle of this interview, it's panned out pretty good, right? It's a
Oh
higher
yes.
level of usage.
Oh
So,
yes. Yep. And I use LastPass to share the Grammarly account, and I think now it's really helping out my writers.
cool. And just to be clear for everyone, so LastPass is a password manager, and you can share a password with whoever you want, and they won't know the password, so you could change it in the future. And they can't change your account, but they'll be able to log into whatever you want. And one of the things that they can log into is Grammarly that they install on their browser, which will work within WordPress or Google Docs, and it works really well. I mean, there used to be some bugs associated with Grammarly, but at this point, I mean, it's working for you, it's working for me, and the VAs that can help us out. So pretty cool. Anything else like content wise, like templates, anything like that?
No, not really. I just came up with my own templates, which were I mean product guide and then reviews, and I used the Rehab theme, so that has the pros and cons table that looks comes out nice. But if you were to ask me if I were not to use that, it wouldn't really change anything. So yeah,
Sure.
that's it for the most part.
Very good. All right. Well, as far as how this is impacting your life, it sounds like you have a pretty nice, full-time business going on. This is a fun side hustle for you. So, you know, what has this done for you personally? How has it impacted you?
Okay, so how it has impacted me, very interesting. It has really given me the confidence. I wanted to do something at scale, and this was really my testing ground. So now I've set the ball in motion to acquire something which is a lot bigger than what I did. We are looking at an acquisition which is around 60K. When I say we, I have partnered up with one of my friends, and we've hired the services of Dom Bells as well. So he's helping us out there. So that's what it has really given us, and I expect that in the next month or so we would have that started. So I feel that I have built a team, and now I can send there's a machine or there's an engine that's chugging, and I can just now send in something else their way for them to process and give me content or links for the new site that I want to work on.
That's pretty awesome. Do you have a specific goal for your sort of original site as far as content or long term, say 12, 18 months looking further out?
I have a sort of nebulous plan in mind, which is that I would till the time it takes for us to identify, acquire the site, I'm going to use the team to pump out as much content as possible in the next 1 month. I see we are at about 200 articles. I see that we would, once we have the new site, I think the original site would be around 300 articles. And that's when I would let those articles kind of start ranking. I plan to focus on link building, both internal and external. Right now, there is hardly any internal link building. So I plan to focus on that once I've done this run of content production, and then I would be focusing on the new site. So the old site is extremely, you can say, brandable. So it can really become big, but it will depend entirely upon how much content, how much relevant quality content is put there, and how much it is promoted by link building.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty amazing the team that you have put together, and then it's pretty cool to be able to, acquire a fairly big site that you'll be able to just, plug them into that. They already know what to do. So, do you have any sort of vision for that new site? Like what do you think could happen? You mentioned around 60K is the price of it. So, yeah, where do you think you could take it?
So I plan to add, you said that there are two legs to this business. One is content, the other one's link building. I plan to add a third leg, which is monetization. In my original business, there is cost of lead. So I see that if you can successfully sell leads which are relevant to businesses, then it would then your cost or your revenue per thousand visitors really goes through the roof. Like, it's not comparable to any advertising or any affiliate stuff that you can do. So with the new site, I plan to explore, and that's the lens now I'm using. That what kind of businesses can can I provide leads to? And again, I think I heard this on your podcast, but it's user intent that one needs to be very aware of. So I see that, if someone's searching for best ballpoint pens for journaling, so they are looking for ballpoint pens. So that's a certain persona of people. But they are most probably journalists. So, what do journalists need? Which businesses need journalists? Can there be a way for me to connect the journalists to that business? So that's what I'm looking at. And if I'm able to crack that, then yeah, then I, I'm I'm hopeful that we can make something big.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I've definitely heard, actually, since I've been working online, about lead generation, whether it's for higher ticket clients or for local businesses. So there's a whole other industry of lead generation and like people that know SEO or other ways to acquire those leads and then get them over to whoever needs them. So that's pretty awesome. Now, you actually read my mind a little bit. I was going to ask about any sort of ad networks or other revenue streams aside from Amazon for that original site. I kind of forgot earlier, but yeah, are you monetizing in any other way?
I tried applying to AdWords and I was rejected a couple of times. I don't know why. They've always said that because of COVID, they're not accepting, but I know for a fact that other people are getting accepted. So I really don't know. I think I'd probably check out Ezoic when I reach the 10,000 visitors a month threshold. I'm right now at six and a half. So,
Should be soon. Well, you do have to be in AdSense for Ezoic. I
um,
believe it's like part
okay.
of the same network.
Right.
But do you have, I talked to someone not too long ago, do you have an about page and all the sort of normal pages that you're supposed to have, like a privacy and all those things?
Yes, yes. I read up why am I being rejected. So that's what came out. And I built those pages and then I got rejected again. So I honestly, I've just then pushed it to the back for now. And yeah, if I can crack this leads bit, let's just say that because of my existing business, I have some connections where I can take the users of my current site to that to that other business. I'm just waiting for this number to be big enough for them to be interested. So,
Gotcha.
if it's just two leads or five leads a day, it probably be not worth the other party's time. So uh, I'm not really very concerned with not having Google Ads because I see that I'll have two kinds of pages. One is money page, one is information page, and I see a lot of lead gen happening on the information page, not on a money page.
That makes complete sense to me. Yeah, like you said, the amount that you could earn per thousand visitors is going to be through the roof on the lead side, assuming it's a high ticket lead, which that would be the only reason someone would pay money.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yeah. It's something which has a high lifetime value. So being again, I'm in a very unique situation because of my existing offline business that I know of these things and I can connect the dots. So for someone who's doing their normal affiliate stuff, I don't know if this would be something that they could manage. And I'm not talking local lead gen because local lead gen is very I would say tedious. You have to speak to maybe 20 plumbers to send them 20 leads. I'm talking of a bigger scale, but that really happens if you know the right people at the right places.
very good. Do you have any other advice or tips for folks that want to replicate what you've done in a fairly short time here?
Yeah, I did note it down because I have gotten a lot of advice from your podcast. So what worked well for me was, despite the initial problems that I had, I kept looking at it as a business, and at no point of time, even though it was doing $50 a month, at no point of time I saw this as a hobby. So I did. even after acquiring the site for about 6 grand, I did put in money, more money than that, behind that site in terms of content. And yeah, I started off like in my mind, I had that budget. I didn't know that. I mean, I had that budget spread over a year. I didn't know that I'd end up running through the budget in like 3 months. But yeah, I that was one. And invest in good content. I mean, it's really the content that people come there for. That's the only asset that we have. So if it's just run-of-the-mill content, you'll just get run-of-the-mill results. Probably not even that because someone's already doing that, and you're second or third or maybe 20th in line. So you really have to invest in good content, something that serves the visitor's needs.
Very good. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for the most part. Yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Such an amazing story, and I appreciate you taking the time out. I think you're off the radar, but do you want people to follow you anywhere, or just find you on future interviews here?
Yeah, I am. I am pretty much off the radar. I'm definitely there. The Fridays that I can manage to be, I'm there on your live chats. So, yeah, and I love those sessions. So,
Awesome. Very good. So if folks have any questions for Gaurav, you can leave them in the comments on the YouTube side or shoot an email over to feedback@doug.show and we'll funnel them back over. Gaurav, we'll get you back on sometime soon. It sounds like your site is going to continue to grow really fast, which is cool. And then you have a new acquisition coming up, which could just be interesting to hear how that goes over the coming months. So really appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.